Hi everyone, today I have a card that I created by doing an emboss resist technique and using distress inks as watercolors. So to start out with, I took this wood-mounted stamp that has a cute little outlined flower on it by Stampendous, I guess is the name. I stamped it with VersaMark ink onto some Tim Holtz watercolor paper, and I sprinkled some white embossing powder by American Crafts. And at first I forgot to put on my powder tool, so luckily after I stamped the first one and put some embossing powder on it, it didn't stick as bad. So I just took a paintbrush and wiped off the excess and heat set that, and then I continued to stamp the flower across the page. So you just want to stamp it as many times as you can across your page, but you want to leave enough room, if you're making a card like I did, leave enough room for the sentiment. And using this technique, you could really use clear embossing powder, but I wanted to make sure to get a good crisp white image, so I just used the white embossing powder. Then after you have that all stamped out, you want to heat set that, and you want to make sure your heat gun is good and hot before you bring it to your project, just to prevent warping. And then next I'm going to be doing some watercoloring using some distress inks. I chose to use Candied Apple on this card. The first card I chose to use Ripe Persimmon, and it was so pretty, but for the sentiment that I picked out, I decided to use the Candied Apple. And what inspired me to do this card is I seen a picture on Instagram, and I really love the artsy type stamps that they've come out with, that the solid image overlaps the outlined image. So that was really the inspiration for this card. I'm going to put on some music, finish the painting, and come back when the painting's all finished. Next, I took the second to largest stitched rectangle die by Lawn Fawn and lined that up to be square with the corners of the panel. Then I taped that down with some post-it tape, ran that through my Big Shot machine, and I'm left with a solid panel and then a frame. Just taking the tape off there, and I'm going to be popping up that solid panel there. Next, I took a piece of white cardstock that's cut to 4 1/4 by 11, scored that at 5 1/2 to create a top folding card, and then adhered the frame die cut part thing with some PermaTac, with my PermaTac Glue Glider Pro, to that card base. Excuse my hair there. I filmed this in the morning and I wasn't ready for the day, so it was a little crazy. But anyway, I cut a piece of fun foam from that same Lawn Fawn stitch rectangle die, just so it'd line up perfectly with the solid panel. Next, I took the 2 word stamps from the Big Addons stamp set by Simon Says Stamp. The sentiment's gonna read, "Love You," but I'd end up cutting the 2U stamp in half to create this sentiment. And I was a little nervous at first cutting up my stamps, but like Jennifer McGuire has always said in her videos, it ends up stretching the stamp set so much farther. Just lining that up on my acrylic block, and I'm going to be stamping that with Memento Tuxedo Black ink in that blank spot right there on my card, on the panel. Stamp that down real good. Then I'm going to adhere that die cut fun foam piece to that panel to give to give the card some dimension. Just lining that up with the edges and adhering that down. And when you die cut fun foam, it does lay flat, but over time it will pop back up. Then I'm going to adhere that piece to my card base, and you want to make sure you line up the flowers so they're not all out of order. Just lining that up. And you could stop right here and that would be totally fine, but I just thought it needed a little pop of color to break up all that red. So I took some gold glitter paper by Tim Holtz. I cut that in 1/8 of an inch strips and put that along the popped up piece. And that finishes my card. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe for weekly card making videos.